the Delhi Gymkhana Club has been served a notice by the government for eviction, and that also within a fortnight. The club has gone to the Delhi High Court against this notice, and so far the notice has not been stayed by the court, and the next hearing is at the end of July this year. Now, there are four angles to this problem about the Delhi Gymkhana Club. The first one is the security angle. Now, this is hardly a problem because very soon the Prime Minister, who lives next to the Gymkhana Club, will be going to his new quarters, to his new residence, which is, I think, close to South Block. So the security angle is null and void. The second angle is that why should a small slice of the Indian population enjoy a lemonade or a beer or a cutlet, while large swaths of the population have nothing worthwhile to eat or drink? Now, this is a suggestion that we should ignite a Bolshevik revolution here, and we get into a universal basic income situation. Now, this is hardly a reasonable promise, because we are a market economy. We are known, and we are definitely a market economy, and there is no question of moving to the left. There is no question of having a dictatorship of the proletariat. We are not going into the Trotsky or the Bukharin territory. That is out of the question. We have a government which is not only right, but probably extreme right. The third angle is that this is a colonial relic. Now, this one is the and therefore it should be erased or removed. Now, this one is probably the most awkward, the most odd motive for asking the club to evacuate, because you know, the logic is not there. We all know that we have been colonized. We have been colonized for more than 200 years. We were actually colonized by the Portuguese. We were also colonized to a small extent, or occupied by the French, and then the English finally took over. This is a fact. Every Indian knows this. The collective memory of the world realizes this. And if you if you go to Grok, or if you go to ChatGPT, or if you go to Meta, and very soon you will have these data analysis, these data centers, and for the next 1,000 years, everyone will know that we were colonized, we were subjugated by the English for more than 200 years. I won't go into the pros and cons of this subjugation. However, the point is, and this is not about whataboutery, the point is that how many colonial relics or vestiges will you remove? I mean, there is no end to it, and it seems a bit stupid. We must be conscious of the fact. In fact, the younger generation, the children, must know that we were colonized, and we must never ever allow or permit this to happen in the future. No foreign power should ever be able to occupy this country, right? This is what should be taught to the children. We cannot possibly start removing relics and then telling them that, hang on, we were never occupied, because that would be silly. How many relics can we remove? Who was the man who made this Gymkhana, who designed this Gymkhana? This man was a brilliant architect. His name was Robert Russell. Now, Bob Russell not only designed the Gymkhana Club, he also designed the 5 Racecourse Road bungalow in which the current Prime Minister resides. This was made in those days, in the 1920s or 1930s. Now, of course, it has a different name. But the fact is that the same man, Bob Russell, designed both the Gymkhana in possibly 1913, and also the bungalows, which what are now called 5, 6, 7, 8 Racecourse Roads. And that is where the Prime Minister is living right now. Right? And besides this, Russell also made Teen Murti. Now, Teen Murti was the residence of the Commander-in-Chief of the British Army. The last one was General Auchinleck. Now, this was then renamed Teen Murti Bhavan. Earlier it was called the Flagstaff House. This was then renamed as Teen Murti Bhavan, and the first Indian Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru, resided in this place, right? So this was also designed by Bob Russell. Besides this, Bob Russell, I mean, you will gasp when I tell you this, Bob Russell also designed Connaught Place. Now, how do you go about decimating Connaught Place? It is there. It has been made by the British. It has been designed by Bob Russell, who also designed the National Stadium, in which I learnt how to run. He also designed a few other places like the East and Western Courts on what is now called Janpath, but was earlier called Queensway. Now, we must understand, we cannot go around destroying or demolishing or leveling these relics of the English occupation. That would be foolish. That would be stupid. It doesn't make any sense. We must accept the fact that these structures have been made by the English. They have made India Gate. That was designed by I think Edwin Lutyens. Yes, Edwin Lutyens. Edwin Lutyens designed the India Gate, and you will be pleasantly surprised that there are 13,000 names of Indian soldiers inscribed on the India Gate. I have seen them myself because I lived in the vicinity for more than 4 decades. Right? So we have all these structures made by the English, and it sounds ridiculous that we go around demolishing them simply because we want to erase all memories of that occupation. That doesn't sound practical, and that doesn't sound logical or rational at all. Apart from this, there is yet another angle which I am forced to elaborate upon. What 3 games have been invented by the British, by the English in particular? These 3 games are hockey, football, and yes, cricket. Now, if you go around saying that these structures, that the Gymkhana Club is a relic of the past, is a mirror of an occupying force, then why you will have to then, if you extend this very illogical point, how much can you stretch this? Then you will say that, hang on, we have to remove these games also from the Indian subcontinent, from India in particular. How do you remove football? The oldest tournament in the world is the FA Cup, which began somewhere, I think, in 1871 in England. And the second longest football tournament is the Durand Cup. The Durand Cup was started in 1888 in Shimla by Durand for the British soldiers. And then this was transplanted to Delhi around 1930 or 1935. And this continued till 2016. When I was a boy, I watched these games of the Durand Cup in the Ambedkar Stadium, right? And now, of course, the Durand Cup is played in Calcutta, Jamshedpur, and a few other cities. So, what do? Do we remove football because it is a British game, because it reminds us of British occupation? And similarly for cricket. I mean, you will be scandalized if I say that you terminate the BCCI, or you stamp out the BCCI and you bought the IPL. What happens to our boy genius? What happens to Vaibhav Suryavanshi? The boy wonder? Do you ask him to play to kabaddi, or do you ask him to play chess? Because he is not allowed to play cricket. He is not allowed to play cricket because this is an English invention. So you see, these points are illogical. They make no sense. We have to realize, and we must tell our children, look, we were occupied in the past. We were occupied by European powers, particularly European powers, and especially the English, because we made many mistakes. The biggest one was that we were divided, subdivided, and further subdivided. There was bribery, there was intrigue, there was procrastination, there was deception. There was an epidemic of these bad traits. These were the Achilles heel of our ancestors. So therefore, it is our duty to tell the younger generation, to tell the children, look, never ever allow our country to be occupied or to be invaded by a foreign power. We cannot stand and we cannot permit this. It is just not allowed. It is just not permitted. We have to do away with these vices which we've had for so many years. That is very important, and exactly these were the vices that the English exploited. So this is very important that we tell the children. There's no point telling them that, hang on, the British never came here. There is no Rashtrapati Bhavan because we have leveled it. There is no Parliament House because we have leveled it. The English never came here. You know, that sort of propaganda will not work. That sounds pretty absurd. So once again, I will repeat, the Gymkhana Club is not a security risk. It never will be a security risk. Who do you have going to the Gymkhana Club? You have these old folks who have worked for the government, who have worked for the community all their lives. Their work may have been good, their work may have been mediocre, but the fact is that they have worked all their lives, and now in their old age with their pension, the only entertainment or the only luxury they have is to go to this club, and they won't be going to this club every day. They probably go there once a week or once a fortnight or once a month. Spend a couple of hours there, you know, chatting up people, having a lemonade or having a beer, which is certainly not a crime. These people are certainly not conspiring against any government, particularly this government. So this sort of attitude does not hold water. These people need it. They are on a pension. They are middle class people. These are civil servants. These are diplomats. These are retired judges. These are even retired doctors and military personnel. These people are not conspiring. These people are not, they are not Anglophiles. They are not people who want the British back into this country. These are patriots. These have always been patriots and always will be patriots. And it is important for them. It is vital for their psychological health that they are allowed to have a place wherein they can meet and chat